one is nasty, 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 nasty.
Love getting a little bit of dookie on my tongue.
And then I pull it out, and then I sniff it, and then I throw it at an audience member.
And then it's in one of two holes.
That's nasty.
Man with my dogs tonight and on my mind. Dollar signs. Not Valentine, first time. Following my friends for content.
Have you ever done a fight sequence, like fight choreography? We didn't choreograph that.
Yeah. I was just hoping that you would just like let blind rage take over.
Absolutely not. I'm a professional.
So this professional is Scarlett. This is my friend Scarlett. Welcome to Farming My Friends for Content. I'm Steven. Today we're doing something a little different. I'm so fucking out of breath for like...
I was like, why are you out of breath? Because I'm fine.
So yeah, the thing that we're doing that's a little different today is we're kind of experimenting with a setup for a show that Scarlett's doing. Can you tell us a little bit about what the show is like that we're kind of like prototyping here? This is, by the way, up front, this is only a prototype cosmetically.
You know, we're in a bed. And so one segment that I think we're going to have to get to, but too soon, is sexy time.
Okay. So let's jump right into it. If you let me kind of take the reins here.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
So my relationship with Scarlett is... Right,
it comes from casting networks.
Yeah, it comes from... Yes.
Meet your friends on castingnetworks.com.
Right. If you live in Los Angeles, that's probably how you know each other because you were making movies or something, right? Yeah. The first thing we worked on was the show Head Over Heels, which was like a romance-based thing. From there to a few other projects, it became increasingly more clear that Scarlett has an unabashedness with her body.
That's true.
With her sexual interests.
Well,
far less prudish than basically most of my other friends.
Yes.
Just the other day, I had a conversation with one of my friends who is extraordinarily open sexually, like both in conversation and her own experiences. And what it led me to realize is that despite my own comforts, thinking that I'm always the one who's like, oh, I can't believe Steve said that, or I can't believe that's the thing that he's into or whatever. I've always still considered myself like kind of vanilla.
You're not vanilla.
I'm not vanilla.
You're not vanilla.
No, but there's like a scale, right? There's a scale and there's super freaky shit.
You can take a test. Have you taken that test?
I have taken the test. I don't remember my results.
It's like on a black background and it goes from like it's a green to red gradient.
Oh, maybe that's the wrong one. I didn't take that one.
I think that there's
something that has always stuck with me is when you said that one of your favorite movies is this German film. I forget the name of it. Wetlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, where she's sort of like the thing that you identified with is that she is like, again, like sort of unabashed about what somebody might call like being gross.
Yeah.
And that always stuck with me. So
it's part like this young woman who is super sexually confident, but also like gross about just like being sort of breaking all of the politeness that is endowed to women. And the opening sequence is her skateboarding barefoot into a flooded bathroom and then like pulling down her pants to put on her hemorrhoid cream in the dirty bathroom and then like rubbing her coochie on the toilet seat, like, and it's nasty. It's disgusting. And I feel like the contrast of grossing people out with sexuality alongside it, I just love it. Specifically women. I think more women should gross people out.
Right. Okay. So would you say that the intersection of like all of these things is like closer to like shocking people, or like what do you? Yeah. So where do you?
So I think that's like in rewatching it for the fifth time, there were some moments that did just feel like shocking, and I think like if there is a specific intention behind the shock, it's valuable. But shocking just to shock people, I think, is a strange territory to enter. As
being like an edgelord or whatever.
Yeah, just be like, being an edgelord is like, why are you being an edgelord?
It's a little cringe.
It is a little cringe. If you have a good reason for being an edgelord, because you're trying to like push the boundaries of a social or cultural norm, cool. But if you're being an edgelord and you're punching down, I think it can just come back to kind of punching down.
Yeah, punching down too. Yeah, it's also still cringe when it's merely, because I would say edgelord is somebody who's merely trying to evoke a reaction, regardless of like whether that reaction is good or beneficial.
What's an example of who's an edgelord that comes to mind for you?
There's no specific ones in mind because I think they are mostly like anonymous creators on the internet. Like I think of a lot of shit that was like on Newgrounds. Like a lot of people that were making cartoons on Newgrounds were edgelords.
I don't know what Newgrounds is.
Welcome to the history segment, where we learn a little bit about the history of the internet. Today's piece is newgrounds.com, which is a website where there used to be a format called Flash. Some of you may remember it.
Oh,
it's basically, you make cartoons with it or little games. So there was a website entirely devoted to...
Is it like funnyjunk.com?
Kind of like that, but everything is user submitted. Okay. And it's like a constant flow. And there's no like, the only process is a voting process from the community. So that's what Newgrounds was. It was one of the first like truly open, creative, community run places on the internet.
Yeah.
A lot of the people there were like...
Sorry.
Please get comfortable. Please get comfortable. Yeah. A lot of the people there were either children or not, honestly, but a lot of them were like edgelords. And it was about just like, what is the craziest thing I could put into a cartoon to just get a rise out of people? Mm-hmm. Full stop. Like it doesn't matter like there's no intellectual or like social aspects to it.
Right.
That's what my answer is for what edgelords are.
Okay. A different movie that does seem a little more edgelordy, but I still love it, is Assholes. By Peter Beck. That one is nasty. Nasty.
Why? What's something that's nasty in it?
The premise is that this couple starts dating and falls in love and gets married after meeting at their therapist's office. And they're just fucking nasty and they eat ass and they keep giving each other like oral herpes.
Nice.
And at a certain point their faces are like covered in like oral herpes, but they also have like herpes on their ass, and there's nothing wrong with having herpes, but there is a scene where like they've ate so much ass that like a demon comes out of one of their buttholes.
Oh, of course.
God, I forget what the
power of cinema.
Yeah, the power of cinema. And then like the ass demon just starts hanging out with them, and like the ass demon is like definitely covered in shit. Like it's just nasty.
Yeah, your interest in that movie and like also just media in general that's been gross. Like that's you consuming it. But what about you as a creator? Like all the things that you've done. How have you pushed those limits? And what are the things that you think kind of fall in line with that?
Okay, so one thing in particular comes to mind, and my sibling was literally like, who signed off on this? Why would you do that? This was so cringe. But at the time I was like, I am tired of feeling sexualized. And I had this original character, and this was also at the beginning of me doing original characters, so I didn't really quite understand like the medium. And for those who don't know, it's like doing a sketch by yourself. And I did Cupid, but as if Cupid had just got dumped. And so like I came out in it's a good premise, but I didn't understand, like
didn't execute, didn't stick the landing. Is that what you feel?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I had like an ultimate punchline. My ultimate punchline was at the end of my bit, I take off my Cupid baby diaper and there's definitely shit in it. And then I threw it at the audience because I just like, I was like kind of sexy on top with like a teeny top or whatever. And then like, when I pull my diaper off, I'm just like in a thong. I like throw the diaper at the audience.
A poopy diaper thong.
A poopy diaper. No thong. The thong stayed on.
Okay, but there has to have been poopy on the thong on the outside of it, right?
It was just makeup, so like there was just like it was like a flat. It was just a color.
Right. You didn't fill it with like refried beans or anything.
No. Okay. No. That would take it too far.
Would it have though?
I know. No, but yeah. So like something like that, and the intention behind it was to sort of have this contrast of like, this is a sexy character, but this is a gross thing. And also like, I'm not knocking anybody's kink. I'm not kink shaming here, but
right. Not a common one.
There are plenty of people who are like, I will do butt stuff, but are very grossed out by the poop part. And the poop part is natural.
Yeah. It is one of the lesser common like kinks though. I mean, it's common enough, but it's not super common to hear people like, oh man, like love getting a little bit of dookie on my tongue.
I don't know who's saying that. but yeah, I mean, people say that. People say that.
People
yeah.
definitely say
People
it. It's just they're not
definitely say
the,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think like, you know, it's how like this is so dumb. Whatever. I think
Please say something dumb.
It's like I haven't actually heard this in real life in a long time, but it's like more like a thing in high school when you're a girl and it's like, oh, you can't fart in front of boys because then boys are gonna think like, you know, girls don't fart. And it's like, well, girls sometimes shit their diapers too. So
yeah,
fuck off.
Right. I feel like we're a little bit past that.
We are a little bit past that. Yeah.
Just like racism and sexism.
Yeah,
we're past all of that.
We're past all of that.
Yeah. We're living in like a new internet age where it's just perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah. So okay, that's one of the things that you did. What are some other like notable highlights from your creative career of getting dirty, being a nasty little
That
bitch?
one is definitely the nastiest one. I don't think I've done anything quite as like nasty or shocking.
Okay. That's like,
well,
so
actually, here's a fun one. And
Okay,
this was like, I did a more like a burlesque routine because there was no dialogue and it was pole dancing. And the character was a pizza delivery girl. And this was funny, but I think to some people it was gross and to some people it was very funny. And I think
that's how it goes.
And that's how it goes. I think this was more an appropriate towing the line. But I go through all the bits that I did were things that a pizza delivery person would do. And so when I needed somebody to sign the receipt, I pulled out like a long ass CVS receipt, like out of my like bra or whatever. And so like that was the gag. And then after the receipt comes out, I need them to sign it. So I'm like looking for the receipt and then I turn around and then I lift up my skirt and then the pen is like in between my butt crack.
Oh, okay.
And then I was
like, that could go 2 ways, right? They could go 3 ways, right?
3 ways.
Well, it's either between your cheeks and then it's in one of 2 holes.
Right.
And wait, it goes 2 more ways because then it's like, is it eraser in or eraser out?
Eraser.
Well, a pen, or is it nib in or nib out?
No, it was a big fat Sharpie. So it was nice and rounded.
Sure. Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So anyways.
Side note, when I was 9, I remember that was the first butt play I did, was putting a Bic pen up my ass.
That sounds like it hurt.
Little asterisk. No, it's fine. Okay. Lubed it up nice and good.
Oh, good for you.
Okay. So yeah, so you had a pencil pen between your cheeks.
I had like a thick Sharpie, a thick blue Sharpie between my cheeks because I wanted it to read on stage. That was the other thing too.
Right.
And yeah, so I turn around, I like flash the audience my butt, and like the pen or the Sharpie is in between my butt cheeks, and then I pull it out, and then I sniff it, and then I throw it at an audience member.
The sniff is really the big sell.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. Okay. Because I was like, oh yeah, the butt cheeks thing, it's like, okay, that goes kind of cute and kind of like, it could be. So this is bringing me to a great point that I want to like make a distinction on, because we're talking about things, we're using the word gross, right?
Yeah.
And then we're like using it in conjunction with talking about like, it's like shit, but also just being sexual.
Yeah.
And so like, I think that's it's such a difficult thing to have conversations about with people, because with some people, sexual things do just become gross, right? Like mere sexuality.
Yeah. And
yeah, well, I'll just say too, is that like, so when we're talking about this right now, it's like when you gave it a sniff, that sort of like, that solidifies it closer in a more general gross, like a more like broadly defined gross. Mm-hmm. Because if you didn't, then it's kind of like, it can also just be like, ooh, like that was a little spicy. She had a pen up her butt cheeks, you know? So yeah, I don't know, where do you have any clear idea of like where you draw that line, or like what sort of differentiates those to you?
Differentiates objective grossness to considering some aspect of sexuality gross?
Yeah, let me figure out a better way to say this question. Is like, are there things that you might say broadly are gross, but that like are actually, you go like, ooh, if that was real, if this was like a real thing, that would gross me out, versus it's something that you get a little kick out of, like that it's actually like a genuinely like, I feel good expressing this as like a sexual thing. however playful, right? Because like if you do a burlesque thing, people performing and like, going up and dancing half naked or even naked, it could be performance and there is like a sexual kick that you could be getting out of it.
Well, I think it brings it all back around to your first initial statement about me, which was that I am fairly open-minded about sex things.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you where the line, like, I don't even know this, I don't see this playing out on stage in a performance aspect.
Here we go.
But okay. So over the summer, I was trying to, because, oh my God. Okay. Now we're getting into it. So I asked myself, what are my like top 5 values? And one of them is sensuality, which is different than sexuality, but I also think like sexuality is important to me too. And that's a big aspect of my artistic work. And I grew up with very little to no shame around sexual expression or sexual identity, things like that. So last year, in my year of being single, well,
That's a great.
Well,
I know some of these things. You still surprised me with a few anecdotes that you may have missed.
So basically, I was trying to like continue to explore my sexuality without involving other people because I didn't want to like get all like catching feelings and things. So I started taking these dominatrix classes.
So this
Yes. Do you remember this? Did I tell you this?
You told me a little bit about that. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were just gonna be like, so I was just like rubbing my shit and squirting to porn all day, and I was just trying different porn.
No, I don't really watch porn. It's all up here.
Yeah. Sure.
All up here.
Yeah. That is the best stuff.
It is.
Porn, I find often isn't enough anymore. I need some imaginative. I need to participate.
Yeah,
with my imagination.
when I look up, like my most recent porn searches are always with like clothes on, like clothes on porn.
You mean CFNM?
What is CFNM?
That's like I'm sure there's also a flip of it, but that's the one I look up. Clothed female, nude male.
Oh, I don't know about the acronyms.
It's just because I love clothes. Anyways, sorry, tangent.
You're like, ooh, what's she wearing?
Honestly, yeah. I'm like, that is a really cute top. I'm going to fucking bust right now.
Oh my God. Okay.
So anyways, please go on. You were taking dominatrix classes.
I was taking dominatrix classes so I would stop just meeting new people and becoming acquainted with them. And then, for no reason at all, deciding to have a crush on them. That's really what it was. I didn't want to be catching feelings for people. So I started taking these dominatrix classes.
You're like, please turn me into a sociopath.
Yes. No. Dominatrixes are not sociopaths.
Well, I know, but you're like, teach me how to not catch feelings and be dominant. I'm not making an accusation, but it's like you start teetering into an interesting territory there.
Here's what it was. It was a way to learn about BDSM and kink without participating in
it's like
play.
a safe space.
Yeah. And it was mostly a class of like female identifying people. And honestly, like the age range was pretty wide. I feel like on the younger end, it was like mid-20s. And then on the older end, there were even some women who were like 50. And it was taught by a woman who,
that's dope.
What's her name? Tara, Indiana. Her dungeon was called the Temple of Lilith, I think is what it is. And
that's a cool name.
Because of Fasta Sesta, she is a little bit difficult to find online, but she has her classes and workshops posted on Eventbrite, and her Instagram, I think, is also Tara, Indiana. She's great. I really, really enjoyed her classes because she was so informative. A lot of her like content was also backed up by like research, both like in the field and through her own personal experience, and then like scientific articles and things like that.
Nice. That's right.
And so anyways, like there was like a variety of topics that we got into, and I didn't take this course because I did think that it was too much for me. But I think if you are somebody who is a professional dominatrix, this might be something you want to have in your skill set. Was medical play.
Okay, give me an example.
Inserting catheters.
Ah.
And like needle. Oh, there she is, Miss Daisy. Come on, Daisy. You're on the pod now.
Wait, catheter, inserting catheter. Yeah. What
Inserting
else?
catheters, needle play.
Mm-hmm.
So like that could be like piercings.
Yeah.
She was teaching piercings,
Oh.
which is interesting.
But what? Yeah. What else is under
Like
medical
I think
play?
I could fully like if I forget what else is under medical play.
You didn't? Did you learn any of this stuff?
I did not learn any of this.
Okay,
No,
okay.
she
You didn't
has
take this class.
a 2-day long workshop, both like 8 hours each day,
Right.
called medical school, where I could
That
probably
is so
pull it
funny.
up, where like there's all kinds of things that she gets into.
Yeah.
But the one of the ones that like stood out to me was the catheter thing, because I'm like, that makes me so squeamish.
Mm.
If a partner asked me to insert a catheter, and even if I knew how, I'd be like, no, that's not
Right.
what I want to do.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's not for
Jeez.
me.
Same.
No.
I remember being like, seriously, like probably like 9 or 10 years old and seeing a video of a woman with a big rod tongue piercing, putting it into this dude's dick. And that was the first time into his dick hole. Like she goes like, and she kind of like bop and just plops it in. And that was the first time I ever seen something enter. And I was like, I think I'm good, man.
Yeah.
I think that's a full hard pass for the rest of my life.
Okay, so I learned this in the dominatrix classes. The like intersection of fear, but then also being aroused is like what is the makes that heightened sensation is like what makes the orgasm so good.
Sure.
And so because your brain can't, I'm like totally butchering this, but it's like the science of it all. So like the part of your brain that identifies fear and pain, do you know what part of the brain that is?
Is it your amygdala?
Maybe.
That's like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, that's like on some like monkey brain shit.
Exactly. That's the monkey brain.
And it is going to associate, like, very basic example, like being hit, your body is going to like respond physically.
Yeah.
But consciously, like in a like sexual setting, if you have that dialogue with your partner, that you are safe.
Right.
And so, but because your body doesn't know the difference, it's increasing like the arousal.
Yeah.
And so that's like what makes it so good. And so you take it all the way to the step of like medical play. There are people who have these genuine fears of like the doctor.
Yeah.
And, so you put yourself into that situation,
Right.
but then you're also like turned on. And then I guess that's how that all becomes
Interesting.
very enticing.
Yeah.
And your body will still, it's like, okay, so the chemicals that your body releases when you're, responding to the pain, it's like, I think it might be oxytocin. It's either oxytocin or serotonin. I really do have this written down somewhere and I can probably pull it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's why I loved her, because she got into the science of like why it works, like why kink works.
Sure. Yeah. It's like you're hijacking the physiological response.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And being like, okay, I'm going to ride this wave in a more positive way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I haven't really been super introspective on like where that goes into like my life. I'm trying to like public sex is like a good example, right? Like I feel like,
Well, yeah, because it's like
the fear of getting caught.
the fear of getting caught.
I may have unconsciously adopted those, like that physiological response. Because whenever anybody was like, oh, the fear of getting caught, like it's like so exciting, that never resonated with me.
Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get caught. I also will get caught. I'm the type of person that like can't do anything remotely illegal because I will get caught, and I have been caught.
Right. Where have you been caught?
Oh my gosh. Okay. At my 25th birthday, I love this story.
Okay.
My 25th birthday, I wanted to have a park party, and the place to go drinking in the park in Los Angeles is Echo Park Lake. And I was asking Julia specifically, from Ho Trip, should I was like, there's a park down the street from my house. This was when I lived in Boyle Heights. It was Hollenbeck Park. Should I have the party there, or should I have the picnic at Echo Park Lake? Her response was, let's just have a change of scenery.
Okay.
And we go to the lake, and within like 10 minutes of us taking shots, like we're getting run up on by plainclothes cops.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know that.
I may have
The
heard the
tickets
story.
and the plainclothes cops were like they're sitting there kind of far away. I see two people
Yeah.
at a bench and I'm like, are they just hating on us because we're having a good time?
Right.
Like, why are they staring at us? And I was literally trying to block out the haters. I was like mentally trying to block out the haters.
Right.
And it turned out they were plainclothes cops.
Okay, so you got busted for drinking.
Drinking in public in the park.
Right. I thought you were going to be like, and then we were sitting on things that we shouldn't have been sitting on, and that's what they caught us for. Because the tee up was like, oh, like public sex.
Oh.
You're
well,
like,
that's
you're
why
like,
I can't. That's why I won't do public sex because I'm
you're
like,
like, you're afraid of public breaking the rules. Full
Period.
stop. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And you want to know how much those tickets were? Because they told us that they weren't going to be more than a parking ticket. They were $125.
I guess that's not. That sucks, but it's
It
not
was
too bad.
$125 when you're in your early 20s.
Yeah,
is
no,
a
for sure,
lot.
for sure. But that's also like a really shit parking ticket. Like in like San Marino or Pasadena or something.
Yeah, it was bad. I've had a lot of run-ins in relation to like drinking and not supposed to be drinking and the cops. I got 2 MIPs in college.
What's an MIP?
Minor in possession.
Oh, okay. Man,
Yeah.
you're a weenie. I can't believe you got caught, bro.
Oh my God.
Dude, okay, so like I thought, yeah, okay, I'll share one. I have one loaded up. Is like when I was maybe 15 or 16, there was a house a block away from my apartment that was abandoned. It wasn't like decrepit and abandoned. It was just like perpetually for sale or like empty, but I don't know. It was like in good condition, I guess. It wasn't like the creepy abandoned house. It was a very old house, but it was in good condition and like well kept. But we know nobody lived there. There's no furniture. Nothing was there. So since high school, friends and I would just break in and fucking hang out and just do bullshit and like scare ourselves in like the basement and shit. And it was like a 2-story house. And it was from like the early 1900s. It was like a proper, like, it was a cute little home. So of course, me and my super wild ass high school girlfriend would just fuck there all the time. And so one time you had to like go in through the little like sunroom back entrance. So it was kind of like, it was a little difficult to actually get through. You couldn't just run in and run out.
Okay.
So you're not like locked in there though, but if you ever had to leave quickly, you'd have to like take a moment.
Okay.
So we were there and fucking for like a couple hours until we heard like footsteps, and then we kind of like stopped. And like, I remember like still just like being in her, and like both of us like stop, like frozen and like listening. And then somebody was like, hello, or like, I know you're there, or like, it was like kind of aggro, like somebody was in the house now, and they were like kind of aggro. And then we're like, oh shit. And then like we started getting dressed and everything, and we started going down the stairs, and it was just this woman, like she's like, you guys don't live here, and she's like super upset at us, reasonably so, like very upset at us. There? I don't know. Did she
own the house?
I don't know. But you know, it's like, it's literally like, what am I going to say? Like, hey, get out of here. We're fucking, you know, like, I haven't even come yet. Like, yeah. Dude, so, we both like got out of there as quickly as we possibly could. And it like, you know, it definitely deterred us from ever doing it again.
Yeah.
But that's like proper being caught. Like, I didn't get in trouble with the law per se, but it does put a damper on things for like wanting to do that. And that's especially why I never understood people who were like, ooh, the excitement of getting caught. I'm like, no, it fucking ruins everything.
There was somebody that I was seeing for a little while that was into that. And I was like, I get it.
It's weird how you're a weenie in a completely different way. I never prodded you for like where you draw lines on this kind of thing.
I don't.
And now I'm like,
I also
I'm
like,
surprised.
okay, this is maybe a jump, but I don't like pranks. I don't ever.
Okay. I kind of see how I'm like, where is she going? It's just like, sure, I can kind of.
Okay, as much as I'm like, I identify as a clown, and you put me on a stage, and everybody knows that like I might fuck with you as the performer. I could not be like man on the street fucking with people.
Right.
I don't like that. I don't like to do that. Like if you told me that part of the podcast thing was going to be like some sort of like crowd interaction stuff, like it just, I get secondhand embarrassment really easily.
Oh, like from people in like cringe situations kind of thing?
Yeah. Does that track?
I guess it feels like I'm trying to like put this together.
I guess they're all a little separate. It's like I get really bad secondhand embarrassment. And I don't like to get caught doing things I'm not supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So it is all very wrapped up in like embarrassment and kind of like being kind of like, no, I see what you're saying. Because there's like a vulnerability to all
there is. Mm-hmm. And if I'm in control of the situation, but I don't feel like I'm in control of the situation if I'm trying to like hook up in public. I'm never trying to hook up
I thought you were going to be like, I fucking nut all over this town.
No.
That's crazy. I nut all over this town. Dude, one of the worst places that I'm glad I got away with was like the restroom of like, I mean, I guess I was a kid too, technically. I was like a teenager, but like the restroom of like a children's clothing store.
Don't go on record saying that.
Well, because I was like 15 years old.
Oh, you were a child.
Yeah. And me and my girlfriend are just like, where is like nobody at right now? And it was just like,
was it a family restroom? Like a family restroom, you know?
Yeah. It's just like a restroom at the end of like this really long hallway that was like really secluded from everything else. It was like sort of in like a mall. The closest thing was the children's clothing place.
I definitely recall there famously being the family restroom at the Cerritos Mall where people would go hook up, where teens would go hook up for the
that's like the spot.
That's the spot. I think I did hook up once or twice in the Cerritos Mall family restroom near the food court. It's near the food court.
Right. Check it out.
You can lock the door. Nobody's gonna barge in on you.
Right.
This person.
Some places don't have locks. The restroom I was in did not have a lock.
Oh my God. No, this person that I had been seeing who was into public sex, and I was like, I cannot get on board with this. He said that one time he was at like the movie theater in the lobby. And I'm like, what?
The lobby?
In the lobby of a movie?
Like way out in the open?
He kind of made it sound like there was like maybe some sort of like curtain thing that like
a little nook? Like
a nook that they were hiding behind. But I was like, that gives me so much anxiety. Cause like what, like also maybe here's what it is the point of public sex for the man, if this is some straight sex, some cis sex, is the point for the guy to come, and then it's like we did it, we nailed it, we did the sex. Because like, what are you?
Oh, now we're getting.
What are you working towards? Are you working towards the cum, or are you working towards the orgasm to completion, or are you just trying to see how long you could go before you get caught? Like, what's the appeal?
With the ex that I had a lot of public sex with, she would always come first. I would always make her come first, and then I would come. I could not
come in that situation. Absolutely not. Absolutely.
I think
not.
she came faster in public. Okay. She was a little fucking freak. God, yeah. It's being a little freak holds a very special place in my heart.
Oh.
Yeah. So you just would have a hard time altogether, even if you were there.
I would have a hard time on it. I'd be like, can you fucking hurry this up? Like,
right.
Yeah.
No, it can't be like that. It has to be like, you know what it is, quite honestly, especially this is my experience, right? As being a teenager, it was that we were so fucking horny and we didn't have anywhere to fuck. And so it was like, literally we were like walking somewhere and it's like, I need it right now. And it's like, yes, ma'am. And then I fucking deliver, she delivers, and then we carry on, so it was very like pragmatic almost. Yeah. And then you become desensitized to it. And I think maybe this is me like psychoanalyzing this in real time right now, because now it's literally like I think it's less about it being a kink for me, because I don't necessarily want to have public sex. Mm-hmm. I'm just totally okay with it. Mm-hmm. And a realization I had recently, which will especially help me put this in perspective now, is that like I'm more turned on when she has a turn on and I see how passionate she is about that thing.
Okay.
Because I used to think I was an exhibitionist, and I don't think I am. I'm more into the idea of like, she is really turned on by exhibitionism.
You're a giver.
I guess so, but I also, it doesn't feel like altruistic. It feels like I'm just like, oh, you're like wild and crazy. I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Well, here's what I have to say. It sounds like okay. running it back a little bit, it sounds like the limitations that were presented to you during your early sexual experiences. Me psychoanalyzing, you know.
Sure, please do.
The limitations or the boundaries around what you could do to express your sexuality later informed your sexuality.
Yeah.
I had really cool parents, and they let me have my very first boyfriend sleep over.
Okay.
They let boys sleep over. They let boys and girls sleep over.
That's a big one.
I didn't ever have to they knew I was having sex.
Right.
They were just like, you're having sex, we're putting you on the pill. That's all. Just don't have a baby.
I have a moment like that with my parents too.
Oh.
My mom came in my room. She had a box of condoms. She was like, I don't want to get too in your business, but just in case you can have these. And it was because hours before it was somebody was clapping really loud in my room. But that's cool that your parents just straight up gave you the little pill.
Yeah, I mean, it was
they're like, here are 3, they're expensive.
Yeah, right. No, they told me really early on, my first, one of the first conversations. Well, I witnessed my mom give birth to my youngest brother, Fox.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so that's enough birth control. If you want to teach a child about birth, about
watch
having children,
mommy's vagina spread way open and a human being fall out of it with goop all over it and shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that was at 11. And then from there, I think the conversation was, okay, so now that you know how babies are born and now that you know how babies are made and how babies are born, just know that when you're ready to have sex, we are here to help you prevent an unwanted pregnancy. So please tell us when you feel that you are ready, and we will provide you with contraceptive methods. And so one of the first conversations was,
and they said it that eloquently.
They probably said it more funny.
Can you run it back and give it to me like they would have?
I can't quote that exact conversation, but there was one time when my dad, I had been house sitting for my parents when they were out of town, and I had hooked up with my boyfriend on the bed, and I definitely left a little little sauce
jizz
on the bed. Yeah. And jizz would imply that it was his. I think it was maybe for me.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay.
And my dad was like, Scarlett, and he walked me over to the bed. He's like, I don't mind that your boyfriend spends the night, and I know that you're sexually active, but I don't need your splooge on my bed.
That's so good. Right.
Yeah. So okay. And then this other story that I'm about to tell
then
you.
He's like, so then here are some options. That was the way they
pretty much. Yeah. But okay. No. So before that, I'm in the 10th grade, and I was going to go to my first high school party. My parents knew that I was going to my first high school party, and my dad and I were in the drive-thru at Del Taco, and he's like, so I know you're going to Kaylee's birthday party this weekend, and I really don't want you to lose your virginity in a closet or something. So when you're ready to have sex, just let me know, and I'll go get you a hotel room at the Sheridan or something.
That's
the Sheridan in
sick.
Cerritos. Yeah. And I was like, Dad, I'm not going to have sex with somebody in a closet.
Both of those situations equally hot, but one of them is take the fucking hand out.
I'm gonna get a hotel room. Yeah, no, but I did not take him up on that offer when it came time. When it finally came time, it was I didn't tell them, but the next day they knew.
Put another point on the screen for Scarlett being a weenie. So I think that puts us at 2 points.
Why am I a weenie?
Why didn't you your parents offered you a hotel room? That's fucking sick to go fuck at. And then it's you walk around naked, you have the TV blaring, you're just
okay, you're right.
You missed out.
I did.
You missed out. That's just the fact of it.
I did miss out.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
Hotel sex is really one of those easy, it's one of the, it's because I guess somebody's going to call it a kink, but it's one of those easy, let's do something kind of fun tonight.
I just had hotel sex in San Luis Obispo.
Nice. Did you get itchy after? Were your blankets itchy?
No, I just showered.
No.
What? The blanket's itchy.
I don't know, because some hotels get a little.
What? No.
Okay.
It was a Hilton.
I've been in some.
Even though the Hilton was kind of not bad, it was a little bit bad.
I've been in some motels. I've been in some. I don't know what you call it. I've been in a room that somebody charges for.
Oh,
Have you been to a room that somebody charges for?
not to have sex, but I was at the El Paso airport, and they have a weird law where if your flight is like if your layover is over 3 hours, you can't stay at the airport, or like over 4 hours. And it was just barely.
That's weak.
So I got like a $45 motel
Right.
next to the airport, and it was
seedy.
It was seedy.
Okay.
It was seedy.
That was the word I was looking for.
It was like the kind of thing where you when you lay on the bed, and this is the best part about being in a bed.
At 67 degrees.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck. Okay,
It's
go
like
on.
the kind of thing where you're like, oh, I don't want to like be comfortable, because if I get comfortable, I'm just gonna rub my body even more like in this bed.
What are you saying? What the fuck are you talking about?
Like, have you ever been to you just said you've been to a seedy motel?
Yeah. Oh, you're saying because you're getting too comfortable and you don't want to like touch more of the gross.
Yeah.
No, yes, I absolutely, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Also,
there is sort of a fuck it threshold where you're like getting so nasty that you're just like, just fuck it, I'll shower later.
yeah. I don't know. Have you ever had bed bugs? Or scabies? I've never have, but that's like sort of the fear.
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
that is gross.
yeah, I don't want to get a rash. Ugh.
There's a place that I've gone back to over the years for hookups where like if we don't have a place, there's a place in the San Gabriel Valley that charges by the hour for rooms.
Ooh.
And they have mirrors on the ceilings.
Where?
In Monterey Park.
What's it called?
I don't remember right now.
Plug that.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like
Sponsored by
it's
the Monterey Park.
I can point it out on
Motel.
Google Maps. It doesn't even have like a Google Maps page. It's
Is
like
it
very
on-
off the grid. You just gotta like
Is it
walk
by
up.
the freeway.
It is.
Is it in that shopping center on
It's
it on
not
Valley?
on a shopping center. No, it's in like the suburbs basically.
Oh.
It's like very disconnected from commercial buildings. Yeah, and it's like I think it's like $20 for like an hour.
Oh.
And they don't bat your eyes. I've gone there and it's open, 24/7. The guy's always there. And sometimes when it's late, if you go late and you like knock or ring the bell or whatever the fuck it was, he'll come to the window, but he has to open a door because he's coming out of like a living quarters in his little booth. And I've seen when he comes out, like his kids are in there and they're like doing homework and shit.
Yeah,
it's just like-
people live at the motels.
Yeah. Let's shift gears a little bit.
That was sexy time.
Yeah, we can get back to that if we want, but I would like to get a little bit more into you choosing to like did you say like identify as like
Yes.
being a clown?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like, but it's not as like narrow as most people think, like the idea of a clown,
Yeah.
right? So can you talk a little bit about like you as a clown, like the broadness of it, like
Yeah.
how the fuck did you get there? Why do you want to be a little
So-
clown?
I started my first introduction to clown as a comedic medium, and not just a comedic medium, a performance medium, and even more specifically, a style of improv was in college, my junior year of college in the BFA. And we learned in a series of we learned first what is called neutral masks.
Okay.
And it covers your whole face, and they're like sort of these like blobby shapes, or I guess some of them are kiki, some of them are booba.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But they don't have like eyes, like they're just kind of like these shapes, and it's like you put the masks on, and then you kind of like change the way that you walk. Is there like a heaviness or is there a lightness to it?
Yeah.
Maybe you're changing the pacing that you walk. It's like how donning these masks change your physicality. Clown is extremely physical.
Yeah.
Then we moved on the next semester or the next quarter to Commedia dell'arte. It's an Italian form of again, it's this mask work where there are archetypes within Commedia. I
Like
forget
is it
what
stuff
the-
like trickster and all that kind of shit?
It is yes, it's like that, but it's like there'll be the one who's the one who is always trying to be on top, and the one who's kind of the loser.
Yeah.
And they'll be paired together.
I see.
And it's I forget what they're called. I know them in not Commedia terms. One of them is the Joey, and then the other one is I forget what the
Right, you have
clown,
you
black clown.
have the heel, and you have whatever the opposite of the heel is.
Yes. Or there's one, I forget what her name is. I swear to God, it's something like Esperanza.
Okay.
But she's the person who's like in charge of the house. And so she's like very, like when she's playing in her scenes, she's very like type A, and she's like, you have to like go around and like that, like things need to be a type of way. And when they aren't, she gets frustrated. And clown is always like all about embracing the failure. And so we're not quite at clown yet. We're still at commedia. And you can find these archetypes like in sitcoms, like they exist, like you can find them in Shakespeare, like
right. Yeah.
They're story archetypes. But then from commedia, which again was another mask, we went to red nose clowning. And so like the clown nose, the red nose is the smallest mask. It's the smallest mask.
I see.
It's the smallest
That's
mask.
interesting.
And so some principles of clowning, especially as like an improv form, the difference between clown and like improv is that with clown, you are like listening to the audience's reactions, and like totally, if somebody sneezes in the audience and you're in the middle of doing your thing, you like have to address the sneeze, you know? And it's funny because you're really listening to it forces you to listen to what the audience is doing.
Yeah.
So you find like, I think especially like recently, a lot of stand-up comedians will study clown to improve their crowd work because it makes you comfortable. Like there is no fourth wall. Like you are responding to everything that the audience says and does, and you're really trying to take in their energy.
Yeah.
Another principle of clown work is discovery. Everything is like, whoa. Did you see this? Have you seen this before? Like it's all new. Like it's all brand new. And like you're hitting it from like this like
that sounds like an archetype. Is that not or that just goes across all just clown?
Well, it can become nuanced. So what it is everything is you are discovering it for the first time. It's brand new for the first time, but you can color it differently because you're also coming at it with an emotion.
Okay.
So in the clown school that I studied at after college, I went to the clown school taught by David Bridell, Clown School LA. He's a great teacher. It's like the emotions you pull from are happy, sad, angry, scared, and pride.
Okay.
So you can discover something for the first time very differently with all of those different emotions.
Sure.
Then there's other aspects to it where it's like the clown always does a task the most wrong way. The task, like there's a very fun clown game. And actually I ended up booking a commercial because they used this in a way. I don't even know if they were aware that what they were doing was like a clown game that you do in class when you're like learning, where you're supposed to sit in a chair and you have to do it in just like not the way you sit in the chair. How many different ways can you sit in a chair?
Right.
And it's funny to become frustrated too, like to watch somebody become frustrated after they like run out of the different ways you can sit in a chair.
Yeah.
And there was the Uber Eats Super Bowl commercial that I got cut out of this year. I did book it, but I got cut out of it. But the audition was like, and there was an individual spot, and it's running right now too, where this a business person, I don't know what you call them. What do you call people who do regular jobs? A corporate lackey.
Stupid.
He goes into his boss's office, and the boss is like, please have a seat. And he like has forgotten how to sit in a chair. And so he's like trying all these new ways to sit in a chair. And it's very funny because none of them are the right way.
Yeah.
But that was the audition. And there were some other things that they had me do first. And they're like, okay, like, thanks. And I'm like, no, I want to do the chair. I've been training for the chair.
Right.
And I did the chair and I booked the job.
That's sick. Everything you're describing right now is making me like reflect on Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean is a clown.
Yeah.
100%.
Like he's like a very traditional clown almost. Yes. Like everything you're describing sounds like he fits the bill perfectly, like, and is done for all this shit.
So I think like there is an aspect of clowning where it doesn't have to be verbal.
Yeah.
It can be so physical. I think a lot of clowns that you see in Cirque are non-verbal.
Right.
And Mr. Bean doesn't use dialogue to like further the stories that he's telling.
Yeah.
But that's sort of where I find now I say like I do original characters, but they're informed by clown.
Right. Because you're speaking more. Is that why you're kind of drawing?
So I'm always putting myself in a situation where I'm doing a task the most wrong way.
Yeah.
I think the pinnacle, my magnum opus was this year when I made it to the first round of auditions for Just for Laughs, the original character showcase, but then the whole festival got canceled. This was the piece de resistance of like everything that I've worked towards as like a dancer and a clown, and because I was always trying to figure out how to like combine pole dancing with comedy, and so I started with the burlesque stuff.
Okay.
And there was no dialogue. And that felt really safe because I am so comfortable in my body on stage.
Sure.
But I had this one character that the situation she was in was like she has to try to do this nearly impossible task. But she was a stripper on a cruise ship. Like, and the cruise ship is rocking. Okay. So it's like the idea came from me thinking about wearing the heels. And like it being really hard to just like balance yourself in heels on like a rocking boat. Obviously, like if it were like a real cruise ship, and I do think that there are cruise ships with like strippers on them. There are adult cruises like that. I did look it up, but like the cruise ship wouldn't be rocking like that. But you know, let's suspend our
jazz it up a little
theater.
bit.
And yeah, so it was like this thing where like this character who's like so innocent and just trying to do her job as best as she possibly can, but it's impossible for her to do it because the boat keeps rocking.
Right.
And so like the joke came from like me physically making it appear like the boat is rocking, and there's a part where like I sit down in a seat and like the stool is going, and then it's like I gotta, and then and then the ultimate button on the end of the scene was like, okay, that's and then I do a dance. I did a dance. I got to show off my dance moves.
Sick. I'm so bummed that you didn't have any recordings of this.
I know.
I suppose you can always do it again. You should find some circumstance or some venue to like put it out while it's still fresh, while you kind of are still in touch with like what the bit is.
I know. I really should do it again because I was very proud of that. I felt like that was a culmination of all of the I was trying to be both sexy and funny, but like silly at the same time, and I feel like I nailed it.
Sure.
But yeah, the button at the end of the performance after I do my little dance or whatever, like I get up and I'm like, okay, like I gotta run. I'm playing Elsa in Frozen the musical at 11. You should bring the kids.
That is good.
Because there's something for everyone on the cruise ship.
Right. Yeah. That's a good one.
So,
okay. So you reminded me right now that like the topic that we were talking about earlier, of like kind of like all these intersections of like gross is also like silliness. I got to do more joking around and like being super comfortable and like blatant with like my body when I was like younger. And I feel like I haven't had that in recent years because a lot of my relationships end up being like professional, or like even with, you know, fools like Cameron and Sonny and like a lot of my friends who we are like not super cordial, that I don't know, it just hasn't really existed. Actually, that's not true. Like Sonny spit, I had him like spit sake into my mouth like on our trip. Like I try to push it. Yeah, I try to push it, but I want more of that in my life. And it's like I'm not necessarily getting turned on by these things, but I recognize that like under the right circumstances, things that I normally think are sexy that can turn me on, I can also like flip and just make like a really good goof out of it. And so right now you were describing your clown thing of like the perfect blend of those things.
Yeah.
So like is the goal to always kind of have those, or do you?
I think that now that I finally nailed it with the stripper on a cruise ship, because for a long time the goal was, how can I get naked on stage in a funny way? That was the goal. That was literally the goal.
Let me latch onto this. Right. That's this. Right. That goal. Why?
Because I've always been comfortable with being naked on stage.
Okay. Hear that answer. That answer. You wanted to do this because you're comfortable. That sounds like a non-answer.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a better answer.
Okay, so I actually have like a whole diary entry that I want to turn into like that like video diary thing.
Sure.
I grew up with zero shame around sexuality, nudity, sexual expression, all of that.
Yeah.
I famously wanted to be a Las Vegas showgirl when I grew up as like a preschooler. Okay. And I was like in college, I did a lot of like stage performances where I ended up being the one that took off my clothes.
Okay.
Because it made me feel really brave.
Yeah.
Because not everybody is comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
So it was a way for me to stand out. And then recently I started thinking, is that a crutch?
Okay, sure.
Is that a cop out? Is that like almost going back to the shock value where it's like, am I just doing this to shock people? And how much are people even being shocked at this point by like a theater girl getting naked on stage?
Right. And it's like, it can be.
It can be shocking, but like
I mean, it can be a crutch.
Oh, it can be a crutch. Yes. So I've been doing some reflecting on if it's a crutch, because I'm like, is this my way of standing out? Is this my shtick? You know, and if it is, like, why do I even want it to be?
Right.
And
this is why I was asking that question. It's like, what is the motivator there to do that?
So I think for a long time it was because I liked being seen as somebody who was brave enough to do that.
Sure.
And I was uninhibited. So I felt
I don't have the same
brave.
chains that you guys have.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And I also feel like if I can be seen naked in front of an audience, whether it be in like the context of like a sexy character or just like a naked character. And I've never been naked on camera. That I do have more, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm trying to make as much money as I can. And you know, once you do that one time, then your rate for it goes down later.
I suppose
depending on what it is.
You could put a higher number on it when they first ask.
I felt like if I could do this, then maybe even for myself, I would have like a level of self-acceptance. Because, okay, here I am, I can stand naked in front of an audience and let them see me in the flesh, what it looks like to be me. Yeah. And I like have to be okay with that. I don't think that that's what it is anymore at this point. And at this point, I'm also sort of exploring how to go about it in a more nuanced way, or not lean on it as like a crutch, as like a shock value thing.
Sure. So you said that originally it may have been something to be like to the self-acceptance thing. Like,
because I'll tell you what, I was the only one on that stage in this showcase that was doing anything that was like nude. Yeah. There was one performer who had like those like fake silicone boobs. Sure. And like a fake silicone boob popped out. And that was fun. That was funny. It was very funny for her bit. But like two of my characters, I did Brenda Breakwood, which was the breakaway pants. And that was still like achieved the goal. And Brenda Breakwood is ridiculous. When I did Brenda Breakwood for the first time on stage, I did it because I needed to get naked so I could pole dance, or not naked, but I needed to get pantsless so I could pole dance, because you do need to have your like skin contact to the pole in order for it to work. Right. But yeah, and I felt really good about Brenda Breakwood because I was like, okay, like I'm doing that thing where it's like I'm able to take my clothes off, but now I'm getting like into something that is less about it being sexy and more about it being funny. Right. You know? Yeah. But I can show off like my cool strength.
Yeah. There's so much there. So it is interesting to hear that it has like two places for you, or like two phases for you. That
right now,
the initial phase was something that like was empowering broadly. Right. It was a very vague empowerment thing where it's just like, you guys are pussies, like, cause you won't do this. I'll do it. And it's also like, I can accept me for like
everything how I look, because I mean,
Yeah.
typically we're honestly like hiding a lot of how we look.
Mhm.
And like that being your first phase, were you cognizant of like that it worked, that it was working, that you were feeling better about yourself, that you were doing like while you were doing it? Or was it like, I have to do, like, I want to keep doing this because like I feel like that's what it's going to do?
I think it was like a cognizant, it's working. Like, I don't think I would have done it if it wasn't working.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like, this is working somehow, and I can keep doing this.
Yeah. Because also, I don't know, like, one thing that I did in college that was unrelated to performance, but sort of like that, I'm going to fucking do this, like, because I'm young and like, if I'm going to do it now. And I don't think that I could, if I was a freshman in college, you ever heard the undie run?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so UCSB has an undie run.
Sure.
And my freshman year of college, it was 2012. So there was no stories. iPhones couldn't take a picture with the phone quality that they could now.
Yeah.
A lot of people still didn't have iPhones. All of my photos from freshman year are from like a point and shoot camera.
Sure.
So there just was no like social media like that my freshman year of college. But the undie run, my best friend and I wore pasties, and
nice.
we like ran the undie run, and we led that. I don't know how I ran so fast. It must have been like the adrenaline and the alcohol, but we were like running through campus and Isla Vista. And at a certain point, my pasties fell off because of the sweat.
Okay.
And I was like, well, now I'm just running topless.
Fuck it, bro.
Yeah. And
it's legal, right? Is it legal? It's not here. I think in New York it's legal.
Yeah, no, it's not legal. It definitely wasn't legal then. I don't think it's legal in California.
New York is totally legal for women to be topless.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So I did that, and that was also one of those things where it was like, I'm going to be the only person doing this.
Yeah.
And I think that is like a power move.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a power move.
Yeah. Like you feel dope about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But would I do it now? Like, no. I don't think so. There's too many cameras now.
And it's just for the devaluing of like.
Yeah. And now it's like, there's like, and everybody's like, nobody's asking for consent when they're taking a video of even like a girl twerking on a table at a club.
Right.
It's like, oh, look at her or whatever. And I don't think that like, just because somebody is like getting up and like performing for the crowd in the club,
that they want it to be documented.
That they want it to be documented. And I'm talking about
that is
like a customer at a bar or like,
right.
It's like, why are you taking a video of me? I'm trying to have fun with my friends.
That is weird. That is a weird one.
I think maybe
I'm confused about this. I don't have any opinions either way. It's a little confusing.
I think that there is more of a dialogue now. Teachers will ask their students as they see them whip out their phone, do you have that person's consent to be filming them? Mm-hmm. So I think they are teaching more like photography consent.
Right.
And it's like people go out and they like, there are photographers who like capture images of people living their life, and they're not asking them, and they're these beautiful photos.
Yeah.
But I do think like when it starts to get into the territory of somebody having a good old time with their friends and maybe doing something that like could be perceived as more of a sexual light. Yeah. Like, what is that video going to do on your phone later? Why,
right. Yeah. Yeah. It is. You kind of have to like assume that you're like in good company, or that you want to assume that you're in good company. Cause so a long time ago, not a long, geez. Well, actually, yeah, it's probably been it's been over 10 years at least. So that's a pretty good amount of time. I was having a New Year's party, and one of my friends started sucking on his girlfriend's tits, like out in the middle of the room. Mm-hmm. Like we were all fucked up and making out and shit. And like, there's video of that. I had a camera. I was filming my friends doing everything that night. Mm-hmm. And so there's this like really hazy clip of them sort of off to the side in the background of him sucking on her tits. And we didn't know that existed until later when we were reviewing the footage. We're like, we got it on camera. Woo! We're all like, that's crazy. And like, we were happy to have that on camera. He was happy. And like, it was within a day. They were both stoked on this. Yeah. And like within a couple days of knowing about it, I remember like
I want to say like I left him in my room for just a moment or some. It was this weird thing of like we just looked at it and he's like, hey, can you pull it up again? I was like, oh, weird. Like I don't remember like closing the folder or anything. Like we were just looking at it and I was like, oh, I can't find it anymore. I thought it was this one, and I think he deleted it.
Your friend?
Yeah. I think he like deleted it and then like perma deleted it. I was like, I checked the recycling bin. It wasn't there either. And it was just like low key a little weird. And he has like, he did
Why
like,
do you think it was weird?
I thought it was weird because, why didn't he just say something? And he was everybody was like so celebratory about it to begin with. Gesundheit. And it was just like, why are you like hiding that? Gesundheit.
Thank you.
It's like, why are you like hiding? I don't know for sure, but it's like everything that I have to believe of like how the world works was like, that was strange. I definitely didn't delete it.
Yeah.
And I remember like being there, like looking through all of them, like it's gone. It's not there anymore. You're the only one who's in my room right now. And like, I didn't touch any of this shit. So it's just like, there was, on the topic of like, kind of like people documenting you, especially in those type of circumstances, even amongst friends, I'm like, oh shit! It's like, are people being vocal? When are they saying like, don't do this?
Well, I feel like it definitely is different than in a friend group, documenting your friend group, especially if you're somebody who's constantly documenting your friend group, and that's the norm.
That was the norm.
I do think that's different than being a stranger documenting a stranger.
Yes.
Or okay, I have a story. This is only related on the topic of non-consensual filming.
Okay, sure.
This has happened to me twice and it makes me so uncomfortable. But there have been men from the internet who are filmmakers.
Okay.
Who I am Instagram mutuals with, but maybe have never actually met in real life.
Okay.
In this one instance, this guy saw me at a restaurant at brunch or something.
Okay.
And he came up to me and I was like, oh, hey, whatever. Like said what's up while I was like at the table. And then I got up from the table to go talk to him. And without even asking, he like pulls out his phone and he's like, hey, everybody, look who I'm with. I'm with Scarlett. She's in this hood. Like, what are you doing? Are you like gentrifying this neighborhood? And he just like hit me with some like a little bit of a spicy hot take.
Sure.
I was on La Brea. Like, I don't even remember. I just remember like gentrification came up, but whatever. He like teed me up to make like a joke.
Okay.
But I was also like, don't put me on your story.
Yeah.
I don't know you. And you are the type of person who keeps sliding into my DMs.
Sure.
And I can only assume that if you're doing that to me, you're doing that to other people. Yeah. Do not use me as a way to make other women feel safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do not just like whip out your camera and start being I'm her with friend. Scarlett.
Yeah, right.
I'm her friend.
Here. Yes, exactly.
Because I don't know you.
Right.
Like, I cannot stand that.
So
and it's happened to me 2 times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now and the other thing about me is that somebody whips out a camera and I'm like, oh, there's a camera. Like, I
but
like
that's not how you reacted then? Or
that was how I reacted then. And as soon as I did that, I immediately regretted it. So it's like I have to fight against the instinct to be like, oh, I'm turning on for the camera.
Right.
Like somebody's pulled the camera out.
Right.
Because I have to remember, like, I don't know these people. I don't know like where this footage is going to go.
One of these days you're going to be taking a dump and somebody's going to come with the camera. You're going to, oh, hello.
Hey, it's me on the toilet.
Look at this little dookie. Yeah. So that's fucking wild that you were at least aware enough that quickly.
It was because it was the second time it happened.
Okay, so wait, did you turn off right after? Like, how did you course correct? You in too deep? You just like started fucking juggling?
What did I do? No, I mean like I interacted with the fucking camera and then I was like, okay, bye, and I like walked away.
Yeah.
And then later, I think he tagged me in the video and I just like didn't repost it on my story because usually I'll like repost something if somebody tags me on a story.
Sure.
But I just didn't repost it because I didn't want to.
You didn't want to validate it.
It made me feel icky.
Yeah, you didn't want to validate it.
No, because you don't know me.
That's super. It's like, it's especially like exploitative too.
Yeah.
It's like, that's like on many different levels because you're somebody who's like, it's the twofold thing, right? On one hand, it's, is he trying to make it seem like I'm friends with these women? Because what if this guy just doesn't have any women friends, period?
Yeah.
You know, like that's the first thing. And then the second thing is like you also as like an entertainer is like, oh, look who I'm with. Like, and it's like a clout thing. And so like I'm trying to rack my mind for like an excuse for him and I can't find any.
Yeah,
it's all weird and
it is all weird. And like, I don't think I would have peeped it if it hadn't been like the second time that had happened.
Sure.
And yeah, I don't know. It was also, I had this observation last year when I was young, hot, and single. And
now I'm just
old, not single.
I was like, what is like
and cool,
the meanest thing I could
No, I'm not old. I'm never going to be old. I was just telling Seven that last night. Like, I'm like, I'm never going to look old.
I want to fucking get on that. Okay, finish this up. Let's talk about age in a moment.
Okay. Last year, I felt so perceived by people in a way that I had not in years.
Which way is that?
In multiple ways, but I just felt like very
hot little piece of ass. Like, were you feeling like fucking?
I felt like
primo.
I met a lot of new people. People made assumptions about me, and like they would reflect those assumptions back to me. They would just like, there was one instance where, and this is maybe even where some of this like reflection on like how I use my body, like, so without shame, so unapologetically.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Okay. So another example. And also last year, like I was on the festival circuit, so I was like meeting people left and right.
Sure.
And I would consider many of these people like my peers. It's not like I'm meeting fucking celebrities, but I was at Palm Springs Film Festival, which is just a pool party. Nobody's watching the movies. Everybody's just getting drunk at the Ace
Your
Hotel.
ass is hanging out.
Obviously. Okay. So
Are the titties hanging out?
No, I'm not a titty girl.
Okay.
I mean, they're like they are, but no, not the way. Like my butt is the joke.
Sure. Okay.
My butt is the joke.
Your butt is the butt of a joke.
My butt is the butt of the joke. So I was at the pool with a lovely acquaintance. I wouldn't quite call her somebody who is like a friend. She's very friendly, but I don't want to make the assumption like, oh, I know her. Like, cause no.
Sure.
But,
so what you're saying is your best friends, you know her like intimately.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So she and I were at the pool together. We're getting out of the water and she's like, is my butt hanging out? Like, you know, very like, kind of like shyly, nervously. She's like, is my butt hanging out? And I'm like, girl, like you are wearing full bottom briefs. No, your butt is not hanging out. My ass is hanging out. Because I was wearing like kind of like a thong bikini.
Called it.
And she goes, yeah, but that's your thing. And I was like,
you were Neo when he wakes up in the pod. You're like, and you look around and you're like, oh, what the fuck? Where have I been?
Yeah, I was like, that's my thing. Television. But you know, my fucking Instagram bio says actress, filmmaker, big booty shaker. Like I have made it my thing.
It was not only Neo waking up, it was the end of Usual Suspects, like the cup dropping and all the flashbacks to all of them. Except this one was flashing to your You pull up your Instagram and you're like, big booty shaker. Did I write that?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so
that's wild.
Like, just that was one instance where I'm using the words like it was reflected back to me.
Yeah.
Or there was another instance where a friend tried to set me up with somebody without asking me, which was the first mistake.
Yeah.
But basically I went to South by Southwest.
Okay. And
a friend put me in contact with somebody who was an Austin local. So that was right after I had just started drinking after my 1 year of discipline sobriety.
Okay.
And so one thing I learned during my year of sobriety was how much you forget when you're drunk.
Yeah.
I didn't want to forget South by Southwest because I was like, if I'm never going to come back here, I want to remember everything about this and I want to do this right. And I don't want to do anything messy. I don't want to treat this like a hookup fucking party, which plenty of people said that they do. And that's great for them. But like, I did not want to do that. So
just put another mark right here. That's 3 points for Scarlett being a total weenie, being a fucking cringe little loser.
Don't put this in the
Okay, tell me about this guy. Wrap this fucking story up.
I know. Well, there's been interruptions. So he's like, "Go, you want to go out?" And I'm like, "I don't have time. I'm doing the festival." And he's like, "No, I mean like go out on a date." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, you know, because so and so said that like you and I would like get along, and so I thought like I'd ask if you wanted to hang out." And I was like, "Okay." And then and then there was like a pause, and we're like crossing the street, and he goes, "Actually, what they said was you and I would be kink compatible."
Oh.
And I was like,
you're like, "Oh, I wasn't there for that conversation."
Yeah, I was like, "What the hell?
Is that what this is?"
Yeah, and I was like, I don't even think I had like disclosed to this friend anything specifically like kinky, like sexual, let alone kinky for that matter.
Right.
I was like, what? And yeah, it was like super fucking weird. And I was like really offended because I was like, she said that? Like, when did she say that? He's like, yeah, you know, like, I don't know. That's happened to me. But I was like, that's funny because she didn't say that to me.
Yeah.
She didn't tell me she was trying to set me up. Why wouldn't she? That's funny.
A little heads up would have been nice.
Yeah, that she was trying to set me up and set us up, but she didn't say anything to me. And he's like, oh yeah, that's happened to me before. Yeah, I was just like, what does my friend think of me?
Okay,
in terms of what I am into sexually, so much that she would think that this person who is so far off from what I am interested in, and I have a very specific type, film bro.
Right.
This man, and then when I brought it up to her, and I was like, dude, like, you know, like,
hold on. Was he white?
Yes.
What, did he have a long, thin face?
Yes.
Did he have a shortly trimmed beard? Or actually, does he have a beard? Did he have facial hair?
Looked crazy.
Okay, he had facial hair.
He had facial hair.
He had facial hair. Okay, so next, did he have glasses?
No.
Ooh, so that's probably where you stopped then. You're like, he's not for me.
But
that was the deal breaker.
I hate to say it. And then okay. So regardless, my point still stands.
Put 5 different men who look exactly the same on screen, and that's Scarlett's type. Okay, so sorry. Go ahead.
There's nothing wrong with knowing what you like.
It's weird. So you mentioned all this story in. I think you brought it up because we were talking about
perception, being perceived.
Yeah, of your aha moments of like, oh, people see me this way.
Yes.
Right?
So in that moment, I was like, okay, so she's telling me she sees me as somebody who like is very sexually open, and so she just assumed that because this other person that she knew who was very sexually open, right? Like she just was like, yeah, go shoot your shot with Scarlett, like, and that was like not appropriate.
It was a very like that quality for them was like big enough or like important enough or seemingly foundational enough where it's like, oh, I could just, it's kind of like when it's like, oh, your fucking ethnicity, do you know so and so, because they're that ethnicity too, and it's just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And so I didn't like that. But yeah, that was another example of it being like, what are people thinking about me? I guess it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter. I think this is all in the context of me having a new relationship to my sexuality and my expression of my sexuality.
Oh, right. Phase 2,
because it's not, all this is feedback. It's just feedback.
Yeah.
And I can take the feedback and receive it without judgment. Like, I don't feel bad. Like, okay, so my friend tried to set me up with this man who was actually not my type.
Yeah.
But this is what she thinks my type is. Okay.
Right.
Heard.
Right.
Or like this other person who is more of an acquaintance is like, yeah, but having your ass out is your thing. Okay. Heard. It's not my thing. So what am I going to do? You know, but it's like, as I'm moving, and I've talked about this in therapy, my therapist was like, I think what you're right. Oh, and we were going to get into age, which is actually a perfect segue because I think that there is like a renegotiation with it. That's not the right word, but as I get older.
Okay.
It's
A reevaluating.
Reevaluating. Yes, reevaluating.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Reevaluating it as I get older.
You're pivoting. You're less of an ass hangout, and then you're going to turn more into just a tits hangout.
A tits hangout. If my tits were bigger.
That's my big pivot.
Look, okay, I'm trying to get the fattest ass in the world. I don't know if you know that about me.
Is that a real thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, not that's the overstatement, but like
I could do for a fatter ass. I wish I had a fatter
so
ass.
I've been in the gym training for months.
I remember you said there was something about you had a routine that you were working towards.
Yes.
You're gonna have to give me some of that because I do want a bigger booty.
I have several workout programs. Let me put you on.
Please, yeah. After this, you're gonna have to go to me.
But I can grow a bigger butt.
Okay.
Can't grow bigger boobs.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I'll ever be a boob girl.
Sure. Anyways, but you're talking about the reevaluating.
But I'm reevaluating it all because it doesn't, the way that I've worn it no longer fits. That doesn't mean I've necessarily outgrown it, but I think I need to.
How does it not fit? I'm just picturing your ass exploding out of your. It's like
actually,
that's how it doesn't
don't fit anymore,
That's really
and it's a
funny.
problem. And I am gonna sell them all on Depop. But
But how does this way of living not fit?
I think it's more about wanting to push myself past it being a crutch in my performance.
Okay, so it is like this
Yes.
whole like you're afraid of you being sure.
And then in my like personal intimate life, it's about the access I give other people to me.
Oh, right.
I think I've let too many people have access to me because I've been comfortable with like using my body as a performance tool.
Okay.
And just generally with like my expression, you know, maybe how I wear my clothes or the kind of bathing suits I wear or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like there is more unwanted attention than before.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
It's like you don't want as much as you're getting. Like, would you have wanted all this attention before though?
I think that there was a time in my life where it was like fun.
Okay.
And like, I can't even say like I'm getting like all this attention. It's not like I'm getting attention for it. It's just like,
Sure. Yeah, because you described it as like access to your body. And that's like you have the venue of performance. That's the access to your body. And then you have the venue of like your day-to-day life, like how you dress or like how you behave around people.
yeah.
And then you have the venue of one-on-one, your romantic relationships, how you give them.
Right. And I don't think that there's any like, there's not really a reevaluation or like any shame coming from that area.
Okay.
The like intimate,
Sure. Yeah, the one-on-one.
the one-on-one stuff. Maybe, but I'm also now in a relationship again. So I feel like that's like very safe. I also feel like what I would post on my stories was a level of access that people had to me. Like,
Okay. Sure.
and at the tail end of me dating, I stopped exchanging Instagram with people because I didn't want them to have that access to me to then make it seem like they were more interested than they actually were.
Okay.
So because I feel like that just like messed with my head. Does that make sense? That's more of like the one-on-one type of stuff.
Sure. Okay. I kind of get that.
Yeah. Because I do want to have the freedom to express myself however I want to express myself on Instagram. And half the time it's me being like, you know?
Yeah.
And when I was dating, people would respond, but then I would interpret that as them being interested. And then when I'd be like, so when are we going to hang out? And they wouldn't hang out with me. And then I would feel bad.
Yeah, that's a really blurred. That one's hard to pick apart. I feel like there's a lot of nuance there. But I hear where you're coming from. That's like, okay, so you made this decision to kind of like dial back on that and kind of like keep that
Because
part
it's
of your
another
life.
way to contact me. Like
Right.
you don't, you know,
Right.
like maybe I don't want that person to have access to me.
Yeah. You're not trying to get ran through on social media.
No.
You just save that for real life.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you
I'm retired though.
from getting ran through,
Yes. Not ran through.
You saying that like I think that was your way of saying I don't date anymore, but I took it as like, oh, I on the reg get ran through, and now I just see one person.
No, I don't know. I need to get the food. My brain's running out of steam.
With where you're at right now, this phase 2, like, what does that look like? What does that mean? How else are you dialing it back, like in other parts of your life? Because you're talking about like cutting back on the social media stuff, but like, does that mean you, like, how does that manifest in your performances, and how does that manifest in like, I mean, does it manifest in the way you dress going out? Like, does that?
Oh my God. The way I dress right now is so annoying. That's not annoying. It's just like, okay, so I am on this journey to get a fat ass, which is almost counterintuitive to this entire thing that I'm talking about, which is like centering.
But I'm
not decentering sexuality, because it is important to me. Like, I like feeling good in my body.
Yeah.
And I want a fat ass. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm working on it. But in that, turns out, clothes just aren't really made that way. The clothes that I had in my closet were not made that way.
I see. Sure.
And I like find that baggy things are more comfortable now, which actually kind of doesn't show off the curves that I'm working on.
Nope.
But it's so tight now.
Right.
Because the gym worked.
Yeah.
And so.
Oh no, the plan's working.
Oh no, the plan's working. So yeah, so I'm in. I got to sell my old clothes before I can buy new clothes. But I'm like running around in the same like baggy pair of Levi's every day of the week,
exploding out of your pants,
busting out of them. So there's that. And then what was the other part to that question?
I mean, like the performance side too, like the bits that you're working on and stuff like that.
I think with comedy, I did what I set out to do. I figured out a way that would satisfy me in how do I get half naked on stage or naked on stage.
Right.
But also like be funny and have this like story and incorporate my dance experience, and like I did it, and so I feel good about that, and I feel like I can move on.
Okay, so that's kind of what I was wondering way back when we were talking about this, is like, is it something that you kind of can check off?
I think I can, and I think I will always be able to go back to it and figure out a way to do it more.
It's not addicting, is it? Like, do you get like I'm thinking of it in a really like primal way of like, if the satisfaction of doing the thing, regardless of whatever consequence or benefit, like, is it just like, that is just so fucking fun, I want to do it again?
That's a whole different conversation about the satisfaction that I'm getting out of my work right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like, we could have had a whole conversation about that. I haven't even instead of making a character to do like a live performance where the character's pants end up coming off in some creative way, I think I'm more interested in trying to incorporate it into content creation and filmmaking, like with the diary entries, where I do explore these thoughts and dialogues with myself around the sexuality and the performance of it.
Right, but now it's like in video form instead of live performance. Is that the only distinction that you're making here?
Yes, and maybe showcasing a little more of like this new hesitation I have with it, because I'm just getting older, and you know how they say like your brain fully develops after 26?
Yeah.
And because of that, like your risk assessment when you're younger is completely different.
Yeah.
I feel like the world is a little bit scarier to me now.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and I'm like not afraid of like, I'm out in the world, like somebody's gonna whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like when I talk about it in the context of age, it's because maybe a better word is experience. Like, I've been on stage naked so many times now as a performer. Like,
the nut isn't as strong.
No, yeah. Like I would have to get more creative with it.
Right.
And I'm not necessarily drawn to getting more creative with that as like a storytelling tool anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's where it is. And then in my personal life, I think the only way I can describe it is going back to the access it gives to people, because I feel a little bit more like sensitive about my body than I did before. because last year it seemed like people had a perception about it being like a okay to talk about. I don't know. That's like, I just think about that moment at the pool where the girl's like, well, that's your thing.
So I will say that like, I feel like I'm on the opposite path. I feel like we've sort of met at this like road.
Yeah.
Where like, you're going that way, I'm going this way.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I have like, my background is that like I feel like I've been pretty like comfortable with my sexuality growing up, and like my body more or less. Like a lot of the stuff I made when I was younger, like it was like pantomiming sex stuff with my friends and taking our clothes off and stuff like that. And like, and then even like, I don't know how it was when I got back from Austin, I made, you know, I made that porn on Tumblr.
Yeah.
I made like a video. It was like a music video. It was like an erotic music video. It was set to like Cherry Glazer. And it was something I was like really proud of. It was like really hot and it was like cool too. And like I was so proud of it, and I showed it to all my friends. So like a lot of my friends at the time had like seen me full frontal penetration, like fucking, you know? And like that type of thing for me, I was like, this is so what I want to do more of. Like it is something that I get to indulge in the production of it, in like shooting the thing. And then in the like the post-production of it, that's also like she was sitting there next to me as I was editing, and we're like, oh, that would be cool if, and I'm like, oh, that's it. And it's like it's that same type of excitement I've had with friends doing other things.
Okay. That is the other thing too, where I was like, fuck, like this I do have a little bit of regret about this. Like I can and I get whatever.
What?
I slang those nudes.
Oh, what for
when I was dating. I think towards the tail end, I got a little bit careless, and like there were never, maybe I don't think that there were many with my face in it, like unless it was somebody that I had been seeing.
I see.
And I do think that like sexting is a form of intimacy, right?
Sure.
But it started to get into a territory where I'm like, that person could just fucking put that picture on the internet. I don't actually really know that person, you know? And so like, I started to feel more fear about like the access I was giving somebody to my body. And I was never showing whole. Show whole if you want to show whole. But it was like, you know, they're pretty tame in comparison to like, I think a lot lot of nudes that get sent
You weren't busting
around.
out the like gynecologist tools to like,
no, that's not
the forceps or whatever. The like, you could see the full cylindrical shape.
What is that called? It's not the forceps.
The little clamp.
I should know what it's called. I probably
The one
blocked
that
it
he has to go, and then.
No, I have so much like gynecologist trauma. What the fuck are those called? It's not the forceps.
Yeah, I've said biceps.
Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, like I just started getting like scared about who has leaking nudes.
Sure.
And I know that as a culture, we kind of all agree that doing that without someone's permission is bad.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that that's not happening.
Yeah, no, of course.
And
see, again, it's the flip side is like my friend recently was just saying, she's like, oh, I'd love to receive a dick pic. And it's just like, that makes me feel really nice. And I've heard other people say this like too, where it's like, if you're requesting.
I got some good dick pics during my single era.
Sure. But it's like, you know, the act of like asking like, hey, like show me a picture of that dick, boy, is like for a man, I don't think is super common to get the request. It's I'm okay with it, you know, one day you could. Yeah. But it's like the actual request, the full on like, give me that shit. Show me that fucking shaft, man. Like that for a dude is like, oh,
you want to see my shaft?
Yeah, really? I've seen. It's funny because I was watching a podcast recently where they mentioned this, and I was like, oh, that is like a thing. And then I got the experience weeks later where like a friend was like, yeah, she's like, I love getting dick pics. I was like, if somebody asked me, I'd be so flattered. I haven't been asked since I was like a teenager, probably.
Wow.
And it was like, you know, email it to me.
Oh my God. I overheard a teacher at school today talking about, and she said that some Polaroids fell out of her classmate's pocket.
Oh shit.
And one of the Polaroids was a topless photo of a classmate.
Okay.
And I was like, who the fuck is carrying Polaroids of their
Right. That was the concern.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, but also
Yeah.
it's like, and then I guess like the teacher was the one who picked it up and was like, oh fuck,
Right.
like I think the situation.
Throws it. What?
I didn't see it. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was. I think a situation that could have been much worse.
Sure.
But yeah, that was always like the nightmare or like the fear as being a teen is like, oh no, like what if my nudes get sent around school?
Yeah, I mean, I had nudes of myself, me and my ex, from when I was like a teenager, and I had, like it was like playful stuff and it was raunchy stuff, and I have stuff still of me, and it makes me, but I thought I'm pretty sure it's all gone now. I tried looking for it and I could not find it. And just the mere thought of thinking like, oh, like I had it once. It's kind of like you don't know what you have until it's gone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I can remember what those pictures kind of look like vaguely in my head now thinking back to it. But now I might never be able to see like young, like prime me, like what that looked like, which I think is like a cool thing to see.
I do think it's a cool thing to see. And I'm glad that I mean, all of mine are in my hidden folder. I don't know. Then there were like videos I took with one ex that after we broke up, I looked back at them and I was like, delete.
Oh,
Delete.
what? Like they make you cringe?
Yes.
Why?
I just yeah, I don't know why they make me cringe. Just
Sure. Is it looking at you as like a person thing, or is it like the actual?
It's like, I can't believe we were together.
Okay, that is different. Because I've had this conversation with a couple of my exes now. The one I made that like erotic music video, like she hit me up like much time had passed and she hit me up for like, hey, can you give me like the high res copy of that shit?
Lol.
Yeah, and she was like, I'm really proud of that. That's like one of like something she's like I felt like really good about that. And I was like, yeah, me too. Like it's definitely one of the like the most pride I've had in like something I've created.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you going to show your boyfriend? She had a boyfriend. And she's like, no. She's like, it's just for me. But
That's the other
I was
thing
like,
too,
okay
is
with her showing her boyfriend. You know, it's like, there's kind of like a who gets to see after. She gave me, I was like, am I allowed to show this to like people I'm close with? She's like, you can't publish this full thing on the internet. You could put the screenshots on the internet. You could put GIFs on the internet. But the full thing of us like proper fucking, you can only show that to people that you get close with. Like, so that's where I left that. And then even like another ex, I was like, do you want me to delete all these photos? Like I kind of have like a soft spot and also maybe a little sad wank in the future. She's like, those are yours. Keep them, you know, like I'm totally fine with do whatever you want with those.
I do feel the same way about the people who have my photos that I like at least was like definitely like ex-boyfriends. Like, yeah, you guys can have those. I don't even know.
Bust it out,
I don't
guys.
even know who has them. I don't know. I feel like I sent more nudes in being single than I did in my relationships, which is why it's like,
what a prioritization.
it was fun. It was so fun. Okay. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, to the people that I was properly acquainted with, if you're showing them to other people, just as long as you're saying nice things about me, don't send them. But if you're like, hey.
Oh, showing them to other people, that's different. Yeah.
I mean, is that chill?
Yeah. If they see this, then that's like your sort of like, that's your contractual, not contractual, but
then I take it back. I mean, don't put that in. But
yeah. So we'll skip that part. So we'll skip that part. Yeah. So it is. Yeah. It's a tricky place, and I think the only solution to like finding out like how do you deal with nudes when you're not in a relationship anymore is just fucking ask the person. I brought it up and it was like a tough conversation. Yeah. I've asked people who, when I'm taking them, I was like, what do you want me to like? I have this. Do you want a copy? And do you mind this existing on a hard drive in the future?
Well, I don't have anything that I made with anybody. And everybody that sent me nudes in my single era, their nudes have since been deleted.
Oh, okay. So you don't have nudes of other people, you're saying?
No.
Okay.
Just because it's like, what am I going to do with this?
Schlick.
I guess.
Schlick to your pop.
I guess but the thing is like, it all lost its luster after I fell in love.
You heard it here, folks. So this has been Scarlet Red. a dear, lovely, very precious friend of mine. We got to talk about a lot of nasty shit. We got to get a little crazy. There's infinite more to speak about.
There really is.
The age stuff we're gonna have to come back to. I think there may be even a format that we can go to, like a different episode of something else that we can do to talk more about that kind of stuff. So I'd love to have you on again. You're actually going to be on another episode on Thursday.
I am. You're going to see a lot
for
of
more
me.
of a gaming side. Yeah.
Great.
Do you have anything that you want to top us off with? You wanted to plug something.
I did. I wanted to plug In Bed with Scarlet Red, a conversation about the things that keep you up at night and the things that get you out of bed in the morning. It's a podcast coming to you soon.
It's kind of like, remember, that's what this is.
That is what this is.
So imagine a very similar cosmetic and sort of with the spin that she's describing instead of this very sort of like ad hoc thing that you're watching right now.
And I think that In Bed with Scarlet Red will inevitably go into quite often dating and sex and relationships.
She's going to be talking about her butthole all the time.
Which is, okay, actually, that's a great example of how I'd like to evolve.
You don't want to talk about your butthole anymore.
Now I'm making a whole show where I can talk about my butthole on YouTube.
Okay. So you want to do nothing but talk about your butthole, right?
Yes.
See, this is maybe we're on the same path.
Maybe we are. Maybe we are.
Right.
No, I think I just want to be a little more intellectual and intentional about it.
That's what I like. Yeah, exactly.
Not that the performing wasn't intellectual, but it was more performance.
Right. You're like you're two halves of a Kubrick film that are coming together. The genre film that is like a war picture, like Paths of Glory or Full Metal Jacket, but then all of the intellectual bits, so you can enjoy it for all of its cosmetic beauty and all of its fun, but then explore deeper, meaningful things, as an adult.
And learn something from other people, because I don't know I still don't fully know where I sit with all of this.
Right.
So inviting people into my bed to figure out where they are, I think will be informative.
And to fuck.
And then there'll be a special link where you can click it, and then we both fucking eat ass.
Yeah.
At the end.
It's Scarlett pegging all of her guests.
Yeah.
This is Farming My Friends for Content. Good night, everybody. Bye. Oh, that's the perfect. Look at the alarm went off. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. That was a nice little pop.
That was great. Oh my God. Yay, we did it.